Do you have more tomatoes than you know what to do with? Well, do I have a deal for you? Say hello to Cowboy Casserole. Learn how to make it in these next 10 minutes.
Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Sam. Today we're gonna make something called Cowboy Casserole. Now this comes out of a recipe book by Rosemary Reeve called Starting with a Quart of Tomatoes. And there's a lot of great recipes in here. But we grow a lot of tomatoes in our garden and we end up canning almost all of them.
Yeah.
And so today we're gonna be putting that to good use with this recipe.
So for us, like Sam said, we have a ton of tomatoes and we're always looking for creative ways to use them. And quite frankly, tomatoes can be the basis for most recipes for us.
Oh yeah.
But if you don't bottle your own tomatoes, 2 cans of commercially canned tomatoes equals 1 quart of tomatoes. And like when we buy these, we usually buy the one with chilies, but they have so many different varieties. They have Italian varieties, Mexican varieties, and they are a great foundation. So even if you're not bottling on your own, this is a great place to start. In this recipe from Rosemary, she just calls it Cowboy Casserole. And you'll see Sam's gonna make it in just a second. You can start with ground beef or a meat, or you don't have to put it in. A lot of times when we're trying to save money, because this is Frugal Friendly Foods, right? When we're trying to save money, we'll either cut the amount of meat in half or skip it altogether. But today we're gonna go ahead and use the meat. So we're gonna start just by browning the meat and we'll share the recipe with you.
All right, so now in classic casserole fashion, it's time to combine all of the ingredients together. So first things first, we're gonna add our rice.
And it's cooked rice. We cooked it in the rice pot. And we've got 3.5 cups.
Yep. And so the reason that we put the rice down first is so that when we put the vegetables and the tomatoes on there, that all the juices can kind of be soaked up by the rice. We want to get as much flavor.
Makes it easier to stir, right? Yeah.
So go vegetables that we just sauteed. Of course, has the chili powder in there as well. It smells darn good.
I'm gonna leave that with you.
Okay, works with me. Okay, tomatoes.
And stewed tomatoes, like bottled tomatoes, are really good. A lot of times we'll do tomato sauce, or not tomato sauce, but tomato juice, and that would work well in here too. It's just not gonna have all the nice chunks.
So we have our tomatoes. We did 1/2 cup of sliced olives. Then we have a teaspoon of salt. We're gonna crack some pepper in there. And then finally we have a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Where did it go?
Oh, there it is, sorry.
Okay. And that'll pretty much do it. We're gonna mix this all up. And
I should be really happy because he forgot one ingredient, and I'm quite a sissy.
What?
So I already had a little lecture on this.
Okay. We can't forget the Tabasco
just
sauce.
A little bit, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Living in a house full of boys, what can I say? That looks really good.
Well, I don't live here.
All right, so he doesn't live here anymore. He just comes home to visit his mama so he can eat.
Venmo. Put the Venmo tag on the screen so that I can eat other places except for here. All right.
Okay, so the next step is to dump it in the pan.
Yeah.
We got this one. And this is gonna bake for an entire hour. but on 325 degrees. So that means that the goal is to just let all these flavors mend together, right? We just want them all to be fabulous. One of the things about this, you could put any kind of vegetables in here.
All right, our final step will be to garnish the top.
And we talked a little bit about cheese. When we're talking about frugal friendly foods, right? The rice is a basic dry ingredient that's really cheap that can make you feel full. When it comes to the cheeses, we buy it in a big bag, but we're gonna use sharp today. And the reason why we're using sharp is because you can get that flavor and still use a lot less cheese. So any of the stronger cheeses like Parmesan, you could totally just put Parmesan on here. Are you sneaking some?
Maybe.
Any of the stronger flavored cheeses, you don't need as much. And he won't put it on all of it. Well, maybe he will put it on all of it. Oh, that's right, Ben won't eat this because it's got the hamburger in it.
Okay.
So it looks really pretty.
Yeah, it does actually. I'm not really like into the whole pretty food thing like she is, but it does look really pretty.
Okay, part of it is presentation, right? Part of the presentation is important.
Okay.
Now comes the olives.
Yep. Now we do the olives.
And the trick is to hide the olives from the family so that you have enough olives to put on the top. And you could totally skip the olives. It is one of the more expensive ingredients. I think when I went out and bought these, it was $1.68 for the can. And so that's a lot of expense for something that's not actually adding a whole lot of food value. So, all right, into the oven we go, 325 degrees for 1 hour. We'll be back.
All right, so now we're taste testing our Cowboy Casserole. I think it's really good. I think the tomato.
It is good.
The tomato kind of helps bring out the flavor a lot. So, I think it's good. What do you think?
It's very good.
Yeah. All right.
Very, very good.
Once again, if you want to have more recipes like the one that we made today, you can check out the book Starting with a Quart of Tomatoes by Rosemary Reeve. We'll put a link in the description below, and you can get 20% off with the code Provident. I think this was a great meal. I'd love to try some of her others personally.
Yeah. Question of the day. What recipe can you share that you love that's very inexpensive and very tasty? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.